Hi, I'm Miley with Asian Media Network, and welcome to the Ukraine News Forum. Here with me in the studio today is Sasha, who is the activist from Razom in New York City. I will let Sasha to introduce himself.
Thank you so much. So my full name is Aleksandr Krapivkin, but you can call me Sasha. I am an activist and one of the organizers for Razom for Ukraine for all of the rallies, events. I co-organize in New York City, and I'm very happy to be here in Arizona. Thank you so much, Mai, for having us, it's an honor to be able to talk about this subject and talk about my people and my country and my culture.
Well, thank Sasha again for accept our invitation to be in the studio today. My understanding you came here because the Ukraine community worldwide have started kicking off the Circle of Defense campaign. And right here in the Valley, it happened on Saturday. That's why you're here. So can you tell us a little bit about the mission or the impact that the Circle of Defense campaign have worldwide?
100%. Thank you so much for talking about it and mentioning it. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people who came out all over the world, and we have so many cities across the world that participated in two campaigns. One of them was Defending Ukraine, and the other one was Circle of Defense. They were all a part of the same family. And
what's the mission of that?
The mission was pretty simple. It was to say that Ukraine defends liberty and freedom of the rest of the world. It was also a part of the National Day of the Defenders in Ukraine. And for us, defenders are not only Ukrainians, but they're also a lot of volunteers from all the countries of the world who came to Ukraine to help us to fight back for our freedom, and not only for our freedom, but the freedom of everybody. And so I came to Phoenix, Arizona to work with and collaborate with a local organization called Cactus and Trizub. And this organization really put the event together. So I don't claim responsibility for that. However, I was able to come and help lead the rally here and talk to the local community and hopefully inspire some folks to keep going, because they're doing extremely important work. Also, this is a part of a worldwide organization called Klitsch. Klitsch is a group of activists all over the world that are working together in order to share Ukrainian culture and make these events come to life and organize.
Sasha, I understand that you are the activist for Razom from New York City. Can you tell us a little bit more about Razom and what the work that they have done so far?
Of course. Truthfully, it's an incredible organization. It is a United States-based 501c3, so it is a non-for-profit, which means that there's a lot of legroom in terms of donations from other businesses, other organizations, people who want to help support Ukraine. Razom for Ukraine is the largest 501c3 helping Ukrainians and doing on-the-ground work in Ukraine. So to be a part of that organization is a huge honor. There are also lots of organizations across the US that also help Razom for Ukraine. Razom for Ukraine was established in 2014 when the war in Ukraine began. A lot of folks think that the war started 8 months ago. However, that was the full-scale invasion. In 2014 was the beginning of the war, when the Russian Federation annexed Crimea and also illegally started invading and fighting in the regions of Donbass and Luhansk of Ukraine, which is eastern Ukraine, so close to the border with Russia, which is why they decided to do that. Wow. So Razom has been around since 2014, and then when the war became a full-blown scale invasion, lots of donations started pouring into Razom. That's how they were able to help very, very quickly. Now they've grown to become one of the largest, if not the largest, 501c3s helping out Ukraine. So in New York City, I'm one of the co-organizers helping with rallies, events. You'll see me with a megaphone. It's myself and Artur Zgurov.
Sasha, you know that in July of this year, my partner, Tai Ying, and your colleague, Oli here in the Valley, they put together a successful fundraising event, pulled together like the Asian community to support for Ukraine. And that all the benefit go to Razom.
That's right. Thank you so much, and thank you for mentioning that. We at Razom actually knew about that event, and I knew about that event happening here in Arizona because I was chatting with Cactus and Trizub about that event. We're extremely thankful. It's really heartwarming for all Ukrainians to know that we have our backs being held up by the Asian community. So thank you so much.
Sasha, coming from my own experience, my family come here as the political refugee because my dad serving in the Vietnam War. So my heart go out and sympathize for the people in Ukraine and the suffer that your people have been go through the war in the last, I don't know how many years you say starting since 2014.
Thank you, Mai. I really appreciate you saying that. I think every tragedy is its own tragedy, and we, as people, as human beings, need to band together and continue to push forward so that we no longer have to face tragedies like this. They don't belong in our world. I'm from Kharkiv. I am from the eastern side of Ukraine. Kharkiv was one of the first cities that was bombed on February 24th, 8 months ago. And till today, every single day for the past 8 months, Kharkiv has had a bomb dropped on the city. Every single day. It doesn't mean that every single day necessarily lives have been lost, but an extremely big number of lives have been lost in the Kharkiv region. The city was never occupied by the criminals, the aggressors who came to our land. However, a big part of the Kharkiv region was occupied. And unfortunately, some of our family friends happened to have gone away from the city, from the bombs, and they ended up in the occupied area.
Wow.
They, however, very recently had been liberated by the Ukrainian forces, who had a major offensive and were able to push the aggressors out of the area completely. And so our family friends were freed, and they had been cut off from the world for 5 months.
Wow.
5 months. They knew nothing of what was going on, and they didn't know.
Is that because no internet, nothing?
Nope.
Wow.
No internet, barely any electricity, no food.
Wow.
And so they had to rely on their own skills of foraging, looking for food, sometimes humanitarian help. They were promised humanitarian help because they were peaceful civilians. And so they were told by the invaders that we will take care of you. However, in the 5 months that they were under occupation, not a single time did they receive humanitarian aid. And when they were liberated, for 2 hours they had to run for their lives with their child and 2 senior citizens. And then they had to cross a river on pontoons because the bridges had been blown out, only to end up in Kharkiv, which for the past 5 months they hadn't heard a single explosion because Ukrainians don't fire on our own people. We don't fire at civilians. So because they were in occupied area, the Ukrainian military had not been shooting at them, and they hadn't heard a single explosion for 5 months. but they were in danger because they were in occupied land.
Wow.
And they didn't know how lucky they were because now, and you've seen the mass graves in Bucha, Irpin, Izum, which was very near where they were. But upon returning to our city, Kharkiv, the Russians continued shooting bombs. And so they have left the city, they have crossed the country, and I'm happy to tell you now and share with you that they are safe on the other side of Ukraine, in our Carpathian Mountains area. So that's the west side of the country. This kind of atrocities continue every single day. In fact, we're doing this interview this morning. Kyiv, the capital of our nation, was attacked. Over 28 Iranian-made kamikaze drones were shot at the capital of Kyiv. We still don't have the numbers of how many people have passed away, how many were injured in these attacks, and hopefully it's very minimal, and I hope that everyone survived and it was only damage to infrastructure. However, that is unknown.
Wow. It's such a heartbroken story to hear what you share with us. But unfortunately, the mainstream media have been reduced the coverage on the war. So we here, Asian Media Network, we commit to be the outlet for the Ukrainian people. We stand with the Ukrainian people, and we do whatever it takes to help you, your people, to spread the awareness of the war until your country gained victory and the war ended.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your commitment. Victory is imminent. Victory will happen. I'm very happy to hear you say that. And I'm sure that every single Ukrainian all over the world is very, very happy to hear those words too. This is a moment in history when the world has an opportunity to do the right thing. The world has an opportunity to teach a lesson that no dictators, no aggressors have a place in our world, have a place in our society to continue to push around those of us who are not as powerful as them. So, thank you so much. And we will continue to fight. We will continue to push forward. And it is people just like you who come out to support us, who come out to stand with us, that make sure that we win the fight.
Once again, thanks, Sasha, for coming here all the way to New York City. And we're looking forward to reconnect with you again, either through remotely or maybe you come back here for future event. But definitely, we would like to you to be back with Asian Media Network. And folk out there, thank you for watching. We will continue to bring the news to you about Ukraine and Russia war. So stay tuned with us.
I want to teach you a short phrase.
Okay.
To end this interview, because you know, we were able to share, you shared a story with me about your coming to the US, and so the cultural exchange that I want to offer you is a phrase that is near and dear to every Ukrainian.
All right.
And this is how you say it.
All right.
In Ukrainian, it is Slava.
Slava.
Ukraini.
Ukraini.
Perfect.
What's that
Slava Ukraini means glory to Ukraine.